Welcome back to the shed. Guess what? Shooting boards are brilliant. It might not be much to look at, but I love this thing. It's fantastic when it comes to squaring up side grain, and just as helpful when it comes to end grain. The fine cut of the hand plane allows us to sneak up on an exact measurement, and the shooting board keeps it square. Any situation that requires a square edge, the shooting board has got you covered. It's got one job and it does it well. This shooting board looks slightly different. Think of it as a regular shooting board propped up with some triangles. According to page 94 figure 8b of this book, it's called a donkey's ear shooting board. I call this one Kevin. Kevin has one job, to angle the workpiece 45 degrees to the hand plane. That means that we are now shooting a 45-degree bevel. The razor sharp joinery this thing makes fits together as good as they do on paper. The two mating surfaces are so accurate you're guaranteed to have full contact across the joint. And in my experience, masking tape provides more than enough clamping force for a successful glue up. You don't check this joinery with a square. You check the square by this joinery. All of that accuracy from two triangles. We can make triangles in our sleep. Bandsaw, miter saw, disc sander, lathe. No, not the lathe. Maybe the lathe? Well, that's not even a triangle, so no, not the lathe. However you make your triangles, make sure that they are accurate. In this case, I'm checking with a digital angle gauge. Lay it on a flat surface, push the 0 button, then we can move the triangle under the gauge and take our measurement. Bang on 30 degrees. So far so good. Let's make a shooting board. The triangles are attached to the base using a square to position them, super glue to hold them in place, and screws to add a bit more strength. Attaching the upper base on an angled shooting board can be problematic. If we fix it in place like this, the angle will still be correct, but the hand plane will cut into it, because this hand plane has a gap of 5mm between the edge and the blade. That surface needs to press against something for the shooting board to function. This shooting board has a metal track to guide the plane. This one has a shoulder to press against. This new one doesn't have either. By sheer chance and methodical planning, the plane fits perfectly. This shooting board would be so much better if it had a fence. Luckily for us, this triangle is bigger than the others. Let's use that for the fence. It's screwed to our first triangle and to the lower base. Since we've already drilled the holes, let's attach a cleat so we can hold the shooting board in a vise. I asked my subscribers if they'd like to name this shooting board. The winning suggestion came from Brett, who's got a YouTube channel called Useless to Useful. He suggested Curly. So, say hello to Curly. Curly has one job. Hold the workpiece at a 30-degree angle to the hand plane. As long as we use a push block to keep our fingers safe, making hexagons is as easy as using a shooting board. Imagine the profit you could make from handmade pencils. The quickest, easiest way to make hexagons is take one of these pencils and chop it into tiles. Look at that, it's a rubbish necklace. We could put this massive pencil on a lathe and make a fancy tool handle. Look at that, it's a tool handle. Have you ever wanted to make hexagon shaped picture frame? This shooting board's got you covered. Look at that, it's a hexagon. If you were wanting to make a deeper hexagon, all you have to do is shoot a bevel on the opposite sides of a square or rectangle. 5 more of those and some tape. we've got another hexagon. Using the same process with smaller pieces now. Start with 6 pieces and shoot a bevel on the 2 long sides of all of them. There is a hexagon under all that tape, I promise. When we remove the masking tape, the hexagon splits into 2 pieces. That's because we didn't use enough glue. It's okay, we did on purpose. Now we can glue them back together and make a hexagon chain link. Okay, we got a bit carried away there. Let's just chalk it up to new tool madness and have a chat about hexagons. Hexagons are made by taking a rectangle and cutting its corners off at 30 degrees. Marking the centre point gives us a line to shoot to. Get as close as you dare and clamp a stop block in place. If we're lucky, we can flip the stick over and shoot another angle without the grain tearing out. In this case we are lucky because we're using sycamore now. It cuts much easier than the oak did. Once the 2 angles meet in the middle, we've got a house shape. We could cut them into small bits and paint them red, and then we could use them to cheat at Monopoly. Or we could stick to the plan and turn the stick around so the pointy end is against the stop block and shoot a 3rd bevel. Okay, let's flip our sticks and shoot the last bevel. That looks so cool, it's actually cold. Let's make it a jacket. Whenever I'm making a jacket for a hexagon, I like to take the time to really connect with the material. The sound of the blade slicing the wood creates a rhythm that becomes so hypnotic, even the autofocus is affected by its power. And that's why my videos are better than yours. The hand plane does the cutting, but without Curly, this wouldn't be possible. The only way of messing it up now is if this glue up goes wrong. Okay, here's the first cut. The first cut revealed some gaps in the pattern, but the 5th cut was spot on. It'll look even better with a bit of sanding. This is the perfect opportunity to use my new sanding robot. If you don't have a sanding robot, that's okay. You can just pretend you've got one. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Slow motion footage of oil being applied to wood. If that's not your kind of thing, how about varnish on a brush? The sycamore preferred the varnish. I think I do too. These coasters are pretty fancy. Imagine how fancy the table is that they're protecting. Let's make a table.